Okay, so today's lesson, finding and describing patterns. The goal that we're trying to take away is that we can find patterns and then use them to make predictions. A couple pieces of vocab we should think about. A pattern is a regular and intelligible or sequence that we can discern in a situation or with numbers or shapes. And then a prediction is the action of saying or estimating that a specific thing will happen in the future, or that, for example, with most of ours, what the next term might be. So those are two pieces of vocab that we're going to be using, pattern and prediction. So the first one, the first type of problem we're going to look at is describing and predicting using a visual pattern. So let's go in here and we're going to use a visual pattern first. And so a visual pattern might be something like shapes. So if we start off and we have a triangle, and then a square, and then a pentagon, and then a hexagon. So there's our pattern. And so if we went in to look at this and want to describe what's going on here, we're going to describe this. And so a lot of students find the describing piece the harder part of this, is the how do I articulate what's going on? So start off with some observations. The figures have 3 sides, 4, 5, 6 sides. So they're increasing from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. So the number of sides increases by 1. So this pattern was pretty obvious, I think, but it's nice to start off with a simple example. And so once that's our described, so the number of sides increases by 1, we're going to make a prediction. And our prediction is that the next figure would be it's going to be a 7-sided shape. So it's going to be a septagon, or at least as I was taught. More common is called a heptagon, which is a 7-sided polygon. Okay, so we are using words here. So with a visual pattern, we went from triangle to square to pentagon to hexagon, finally to heptagon. We can also have what are called number patterns. So if we look here and look at a number pattern, and we can start off with a pretty simple one again. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Okay, so we'll start off again. We're going to describe this. So again, we're going to use English. We're going to use words. And we look at this and go, okay, so for each number after the first one, because the first number starts off at 3, so each number after the first is 3 more than the previous. Okay, so we're just adding 3 each time is another way to kind of phrase that and think about it. And so if we were to make a prediction, the next number would be a 21. 18 plus 3. Okay, so that's not too bad. Let's go ahead and do another one of these number patterns, because they can be a little more complicated than the one that we just did. So if we go 1, then 4, then 9, then 16, 25, and 36, this can keep going. And so again, we're going to go ahead and describe what's going on here. And so here we would say, if we look at the numbers, and there, in this case, if we think about 1, 4, 9, 16, those are all perfect squares. And these numbers are all squares of consecutive numbers. Consecutive meaning you're counting numbers. So, for example, if we look at this and go, okay, so we've got 1 is just 1 squared. We have 4 that is 2 squared. 9 that is 3 squared. 16 that is 4 squared. 25 that is 5 squared. And then 36, which is 6 squared. So with that understanding, the prediction is pretty simple. That the next number would be 49. Which is 7 squared. So, taking a look at a problem, trying to see, sometimes playing with the numbers, possibly rewriting them in a different form, can help us in figuring out what's happening and then predicting a future value. So, this really gets easier with practice, so doing a lot of practice can really help you out, and I hope to see you again soon.